Have you ever really thought about what it takes to become a US citizen? You know, it's not just about filling out paperwork. There's a test, a civics test, and it's designed to make sure every new citizen has a shared understanding of America's government, its history, and its values. So today, we're going to walk through some of those exact questions.
And just so we're clear, everything we're looking at comes straight from the source. This is all from the official test materials published by US Citizenship and Immigration Services. So yeah, this is the real deal. Let's see what it's all about.
You know, at its heart, the civics test is trying to answer this very question. What's the common ground we all stand on? It's all about creating a shared understanding of the principles, the history, and the structure that hold the country together. It's basically the essential knowledge for being a part of American democracy.
So how does this thing actually work? Well, it's not some written multiple-choice exam you might be picturing. It's an oral test. An officer asks you up to 20 questions pulled from a big list of 128. And to pass, you've got to get at least 12 of them right. So, think you could do it? Let's try a few, see how you do.
Okay, first up, American government. This whole section is about the machinery of the country. You know, the Constitution, the different branches of government, and the fundamental rights and responsibilities that really define what it means to be a citizen. Let's start with the absolute bedrock.
Here's the first question, and it's a big one. It sounds simple, but this is the foundation for absolutely everything else. So, what document holds the ultimate authority in the United States?
And there it is, the U.S. Constitution. This single document sets up the entire framework for the government. It defines all of its powers and, this is crucial, it protects the fundamental rights of the people. It really is the ultimate rulebook.
All right, next question. This one really gets to the core design of that government framework, a structure that was specifically created to keep any one person or group from getting way too much power. Can you name the three branches?
And here they are. You've got the legislative branch, that's Congress, the executive branch, which is led by the president, and the judicial branch, the court system. And this separation of powers, well, it isn't just some random design. It creates a whole system of checks and balances. It's a fundamental principle of American democracy.
Okay, let's drill down a little deeper into that legislative branch and talk about the Senate. This is a pretty straightforward question. How many U.S. senators are there?
The answer is 100. And what's really interesting about this number is the logic behind it. See, every single state, doesn't matter how big or small its population is, gets exactly 2 senators. This is to make sure every state has an equal voice in that part of Congress.
All right, now for a really crucial point. The Constitution doesn't just lay out the powers of the government, it also explicitly protects the liberties of individuals. So, can you name one right that's guaranteed to everyone living in the United States? The official test actually lists a few correct answers here, like freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And here's a key detail. These aren't just rights for citizens. They are guaranteed for everyone living in the United States. That's really the core of personal liberty in the country.
So we've looked at the rules of the system. Now let's get into the story behind it. This next section is on American history, and it focuses on the key events and, of course, the people who shaped the nation.
We'll kick this off with what a lot of people call the nation's birth certificate. Who is the main author of the Declaration of Independence? You know, the document that officially declared the American colonies free from British rule.
That would be Thomas Jefferson. It was his powerful words that really laid out the colony's complaints and established the philosophical foundation for a new nation, one that was built on pretty radical ideas at the time. Ideas of liberty and equality.
Okay, let's jump forward in time to one of the most difficult periods in the country's history. The 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, is just this towering figure. The test asks you to name just one of his major accomplishments.
And you've actually got a few really powerful correct answers here. You could say he saved the Union during the Civil War, or you could say that he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which was that critical step that led to the end of slavery in the United States.
And now let's move to a leader from about a century later, someone who fought to make the nation finally live up to those founding ideals of liberty and equality for everyone. What is Martin Luther King Jr. famous for? Dr. King is, of course, remembered for his incredible leadership in the civil rights movement. The correct answers here really focus on his fight for equality for all Americans and his powerful, unwavering commitment to nonviolent change, a strategy that truly, fundamentally reshaped American society.
All right, our final section of questions dives into the symbols and holidays that represent American identity and values. Think of these as the cultural touchstones that help tell the nation's story in a visual and communal way. Let's start with what is probably the most recognizable symbol of the United States, the flag. We all know it has 50 stars, but the test asks, why? What do those 50 stars actually represent?
And the answer just brilliantly illustrates the structure of the country itself. There is one star for each state, and they're all united together as one nation. It's such a simple design, but it has an incredibly deep meaning behind it.
So, we've gone through a few key questions about government, history, and symbols. But passing this test, it's really just one of the final steps. The entire process of becoming a citizen leads to something much more profound, the oath of allegiance. And this is a solemn promise that gets right to the very heart of what it means to be an American citizen.
These are just a few phrases from that oath. It's a deep commitment that every new citizen makes to defend the Constitution and to be loyal to the United States. It just goes to show that becoming a citizen is about so much more than just knowing facts for a test. It's about a real commitment to active participation and allegiance.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought. The civics test, it sets a baseline of knowledge, right? But real citizenship, that's something that you live out every single day. So whether you were born here or you became a citizen, the big question for all of us is this. Beyond just knowing the answers, what does being an engaged and responsible citizen truly mean?